As I graduated university and moved into the next chapter of my life as a high school teacher, I began to fully understand the impact of technology and media on the academic and social lives of my students, and the role that I played in their education. I began to realize that media literacy is a part of all curricula as an integral part of student life. I started to wonder, with the increasing prevalence of media and technology in student and academic life, how can I help effectively prepare students to be media literate citizens? Jacques Renaud states that media literacy education is a highly contextualized activity that takes many forms in many different cultural and learning environments. Hobbes claims that media literacy continues to put emphasis on concepts of knowledge, identity, culture, and power, situating these ideas in the context of learning and teaching. In fact, to be truly literate means being able to use the dominant symbol systems of culture for personal, aesthetic, cultural, social, and political goals. This is when I began to realize that it doesn't matter what subject I teach. My role as an educator is broader than the mathematics curriculum. It involves relating to all of these other facets of student life as well. I must be aware that information is at the fingertips of my students, that math is not the only topic that I will discuss with a student. The topics related to life outside of school, controversial topics, cross-curricular topics, will be a part of the education that I provide to students. Social media is ever expanding. Blogs, wikis, social networking, podcasting, or social bookmarking are providing students with forums for expression and a source of information and opinions. For many educators around the world, the social media landscape made possible by online digital technologies are the shifting tectonic plates at our feet, destabilizing us, invigorating us, and creating new opportunities, problems, and priorities. My role as an educator must evolve, must include the education of students to use these resources responsibly, to think critically about what they hear and read, to be independent thinkers, to use these forums as opportunities for growth and learning. Educational institutions are already taking advantage of social media. Tools such as Edmodo, ePals, or Edutopia are all examples of safe forums designed for educational purposes. I cannot be naive. I must understand that students will be exposed to controversial issues in society. They will be exposed to accurate facts, judgmental opinions, even lies. But by helping to prepare my students for this exposure and guiding them to sift through information for the truth and how to form their own opinion, I can prepare my students to use these mediums responsibly. But there are limitations to my abilities. My role as a teacher requires me to make decisions about topics that are okay or not okay to discuss with students, personal opinions that I can share or not share, or discussions that I can allow to take place within my classroom or must stop. Is it okay to discuss the topic of suicide? What about the specific suicides of victims such as Amanda Todd or Rehtaeh Parsons? Is it okay to discuss political issues? What about political issues related to school environment and working conditions? Is it okay to discuss controversial topics such as drug abuse, homosexuality, or violence? What about allowing students to advocate for a view opposed to that of the school? These topics are important in the lives of all students. They need to learn how to appropriately discuss these topics, how to express their opinions, listen to others, critique sources, sift through the array of information available to them for the truth, learn to become democratic citizens. Specific cases over time have set standards to which we can guide our practice. Without doubt, the Tinker standards set a precedent for future cases of free expression. The Supreme Court's involvement upheld the students' rights and led to a standard that decisions to restrict student expression must be grounded in evidence of a likelihood of harm to the school environment, not merely a school's dislike of the expression and fear of its possible impact. The impact of cases such as Fraser, Hazelwood, and Morse dealing with student speech in school-sponsored events has led to the revelation that schools have the right to limit student speech in such cases of obscene, inappropriate, indecent, or lewd content and messages that contradict the mission of the school. In particular, the ruling from Hazelwood that legitimate pedagogical concerns from an educator can be grounds for limiting student-free speech addresses the ambiguity surrounding these topics. Who decides what qualifies a legitimate concern, and according to whose pedagogy? As professional educators, we have a unique obligation to our students and school to ensure that we find an appropriate balance between their need for expression and maintaining a safe, inclusive school environment. Although an important role of schools is to introduce students to their democratic rights, it is equally important to teach them how to use these rights effectively within society. This is a big task, and one that has added to our responsibilities and limitations as educators. our speech is also limited. We have a unique role in the lives of our students through daily interactions that require us to be more aware of our impact on their development. As such, freedoms of speech for teachers within and outside of the school are restricted by such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. Cases such as Ross, Keekstra, and Oakes have shed light on the impact of teacher choices and speech inside and outside of the school. In the school context, the courts have balanced the teacher's right to freedom of expression and the consequences the expression could have for the community. Whether we acknowledge it or not, students will be exposed to these topics and be provided with detailed information via friends, media, the internet. As educators, we have an opportunity to create an invaluable learning opportunity for our students and for ourselves. We can give students a safe forum for discussion and guide them through the process.